This webinar aims to provide some useful information on how to lodge a customs import declaration for vehicles coming from Great Britain using the AIS Trader Portal. While you can use the portal to lodge these declarations yourself, you must understand that a customs declaration is a complex legal document, and you should consider consulting a customs agent with a view to getting them to lodge the declaration on your behalf. If you do decide to use the AIS Trader Portal yourself, this webinar will outline what you need to do before you can use the portal. Following that, we will show you where you can access the relevant information and guidance to assist you with the lodging of the customs import declaration and address some key data elements that need to be completed. Due to the large amount of detail required on the import declaration, we do not cover all aspects of the declaration. You will therefore need to read the various guides referenced. A customs declaration is used to declare goods being imported. It is used by customs authorities to ensure traders are compliant and pay the correct taxes and duties. You can make a declaration yourself or appoint someone to lodge the declaration on your behalf. We recommend that if you are unfamiliar with customs procedures or are not registered on ROS or do not have a customs TAN account and do not have an EORI number, you should consult a customs agent. Please be aware that where you submit declarations containing false or inaccurate information, Revenue may impose penalties or additional duties. Revenue cannot tell declarants what to input in each data element of the import declaration. As mentioned previously, a declaration is a legal document, and you, as the declarant, must determine the correct information to be included on the declaration. However, we can give you some general guidance which may be useful. If you decide to lodge an import declaration using the AIS Trader Portal, you will need to refer to the following documents. The AIS Trader Portal Guide provides details on how to use the portal. The AIS Trader Guide provides information on the content and structure of the import declaration. It also explains the data elements and will tell you which data elements must be completed. The AIS Business Rules and Conditions Guide gives information on the various AIS business rules. Failure to comply with those business rules will lead to rejection of your declaration, and this guide will explain what went wrong. The AIS Code List details the complete list of codes which must be used in relation to specific AIS data elements. When completing a declaration in the AIS Trader Portal, it is essential that you refer to these guides. You may also want to refer to the Import Procedures Guide, which details the policy rules at import. Before you can submit a declaration in the AIS Trader Portal, you must be registered for the Revenue Online Service, or ROS, be registered for Customs and Excise within ROS, and have an EORI number. It should be noted that once you are registered for Customs and Excise, you will be assigned a Revenue Customs and Excise Trader Account number, also known as your TAN account. You will have to lodge money into this TAN account to pay all customs duties owing on the importation of the vehicle. For further information, please click on the links. Once you are registered for ROS and have an EORI number, you can use the AIS Trader Portal. The first step is to log into ROS. If you need help in logging into ROS, please click on the guidance link. Once you are in ROS, you will then need to select the Customs UCC portal under the My Services tab - Other Services as displayed on the screen. you need to lodge an H1 import declaration. Detailed information on how to complete and submit an H1 declaration is available in the AIS Trader Portal guide, which we would encourage you to refer to when completing your entry. Some data elements in the H1 are mandatory and cannot be left blank. These data elements will be indicated by an asterisk. If you try to submit a declaration without completing a required data element, the declaration will not be processed, and the required data element will display in red. Validation is also performed on certain data elements. This means they must be completed in a specified way and contain specific values. If a validation rule is broken, a pop-up bar will display similar to that on this screen. The validation error number will appear. This will have a business rule or BR number. To get more information on the business rule, please refer to the AIS Business Rules and Conditions document. On the next number of slides, we will take a closer look at some of the key data element fields that are relevant when importing a vehicle. The valuation of goods for customs purposes helps determine the amount of customs duty and VAT that you may have to pay when importing the vehicle. The value of goods used for customs purposes is usually the transaction value. This is the price actually paid for the goods. Added to this amount is the cost of transport and insurance and any other payments made for the imported goods, for example, freight charges, postal charges, loading and handling charges, etc. You are responsible for ensuring the correct valuation of your goods. That is then charged on this total amount, including the duty. Details on customs valuation can be found by following the link on this slide. All goods have a commodity code or CN code. These codes are set out in tariff. The code used determines the amount of duty payable and identifies if any restrictions apply to the importation of the goods. It is very important that the correct code is used. Cars, for example, are classified under Goods Code 8703, with the code being further specified depending on whether the car is new or used, and the type and size of engine. Please use the link to tariff provided to drill down and identify the full 10-digit code specifically applicable to your vehicle. You are responsible for ensuring the correct classification of your goods. For imports, the CN code is entered at data element 6/14 for the first 8 digits and 6/15 for the last 2 digits of the AIS declaration. These fields are mandatory. Customs duty and VAT may apply when you import a vehicle. Customs duty is usually a percentage of the value of the item. To check the rate of duty, click on the tariff link, which will give you access to the tariff database. Once in the database, you will need to search by CN code and country of origin. VAT is payable on imports at the rate that would apply to the item if it was bought in Ireland. The value of the goods for calculating the VAT is their value for customs purposes, increased by the amount of any other duty that applies. Different VAT rates apply to different types of goods. You can check out the different VAT rates by clicking on the link. The vehicle identification number, or VIN number, for the vehicle must be included in data element 2/3, which caters for additional information. The code 1D97, followed by the VIN, should be input in this data element. For further information on VIN numbers and the importation of vehicles, please refer to the relevant e-Customs notifications referenced on this slide. Sometimes additional supporting documentation may be required. This slide shows you how to upload documentation to support your declaration. This can only be done when you receive a Master Reference Number, or MRN, for your declaration. You get the MRN once the declaration has been successfully lodged and registered in AIS. If you need more information on the data elements to be completed when making your import declaration in respect of a vehicle being imported into Ireland from Great Britain, please check out the link on the slide. Thank you for taking the time today to look at this webinar. Again, please remember that if you decide to lodge an import declaration in the AIS Trader Portal, you are the declarant, and you are responsible for the accuracy of the information you include in the declaration. If you do not feel that you have all of the necessary information or expertise to lodge this declaration yourself, you are advised to consult a customs agent. As already mentioned, if you do decide to use the portal to lodge a declaration yourself, you will need to refer to the guides on this slide.